coming up next.
Temple needs to invest some NIL money into this program if they want to see it win, regardless of who the head coach is, right? It doesn't matter who's coaching the program because you're not going to be able to get guys in here. And I think it could be a little bit scary. They got their guy. They got their man. Casey Keeler, part of the plan here at Temple. That's right. What's going on, everyone? Hayden Bandel here, bantering with Bandel. And Temple has a new head coach. Casey Keeler comes over from Sam Houston. And the resume speaks for itself. It is what it is. Say what you want. Casey Keeler is a winner. He knows how to win on the football field. After a stint at Rowan, the D3 level, goes to Delaware, the FCS level, does nothing there but win, right? Goes to 3 national championships, wins one of them in 11 seasons in Newark. And then Sam Houston, where he's also been at for 11 seasons, he's taken them to 6 FCS playoff berths, winning also a national championship there. The only coach in FCS history to win national championships at 2 different programs. So the guy can flat out win. There's no question about it. And the bigger thing is, right, Temple with NIL, right? Because this guy can win no matter what. But he's going to have to have some money on his mind, right? Like, they have to factor in, and David Fry knows this too, the new president at the university. He knows that Temple needs to invest some NIL money into this program if they want to see it win, regardless of who the head coach is, right? It doesn't matter who's coaching the program because you're not going to be able to get guys in here. And I think it could be a little bit scary, right? Because when you hire a new coach, and I'm sick and tired of it, because when you hire a new coach, everyone's all glimmer and joyed up about it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't do much, right? Coaches are also hired to get fired. We know this. But with coaches, at this point in my life, when there's a new coach that's hired, I don't always give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, I'm not going to lie. For KC, coming to Philly, I like it. I do. I really do. But just like looking into just some of the past, right? Because at Sam Houston State, there was an article out about him where there was a report where he had 3 transfers coming into Sam Houston on a visit. And it was a few days or maybe a week after that the transfer portal had opened up. And they started talking about NIL. And in the report from CBSSports.com, it says that Keeler said that you're at the wrong place when you're thinking about this. Let's be honest, right? This is same thing that same message they're going to be telling recruits at Temple. And we know in this day and age of college football, it's pay to win. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is. Some of these programs are doing better than they typically do because they're putting money and they're putting resources and investments into their football team and into their programs to see them win. And that's why we're seeing some teams do a lot better than they typically do, and vice versa. Teams that typically are good, Temple, are not doing well because they don't have resources and money getting and coming and flowing through the program. Now, does Casey Keeler kind of harp up for himself and say, talk to some alumni, talk to donors and say, we need some money for this football program if you want to see us succeed, if you want to see us win? And I think he's going to have to do it. I don't think he can say that route and say, yeah, you're at the wrong place if you want to come here and win a football and win football games. Like, some guys are just not going to do it. We've seen it in several spots, right? Kyle McCord just won a big-time game affecting the college football playoffs at Syracuse. He didn't leave Ohio State for Syracuse to be on a better football team. No. He left because he was getting paid more money. Look at the new Michigan quarterback that just got flipped from LSU. I would take $10 million to go play across the street as well, goddamn. So, end of the day is, money is a big factor into it, whether you want to admit it or not. That's the day and age of college sports. But I do like the hire. I really do. I think it's going to be beneficial for Temple. How long is to be determined, right? Because we mentioned all the success of Keeler, who is now only coaching in his second year at the FBS level, right? Delaware, obviously, FCS. Sam Houston was FCS until 2 years ago. First year goes 3-9. This year, he goes 9-3, taking them to a bowl game in the CUSA. That's revamped, right? A lot of those Conference USA teams ended up transferring over to the American. So it's going to be interesting and honestly fun to see how things kind of vamp up here with Temple. What recruits say. A lot of recruits kind of liked the hire and said, yeah, we're here to stay. Even some that entered the portal, they're now recommitting to 10th and Diamond. So Keeler seems like he is the real deal. Just when you look at it, guy knows what he's doing in terms of X's and O's. And I hate when people say, and they compare, especially like the Temple fans here, oh, just get someone like Adam Fisher, he that can recruit, and the rest will play out. You can't do that with a football team. You can't. Right? Basketball is completely different. You get 5, 6 guys that are legit guys on scholarship, you're fine. You're going to have a solid team. Can't have 5 or 6 guys on football, especially in the American Athletic Conference. Right? When we look at it with the competition is no joke with teams like Tulane, teams like Army that were kind of fighting for a spot in this new college football playoff this year. I don't think they're going to get it now at this point. But there's a lot of good talent in the conference. You're going to need a solid 15 to 20 plus players if you want to compete for a conference championship and eventually for a college football playoff berth. That's what the goal is going to be at a certain level, especially with Keeler coming in, who has national championship aspirations, I'm sure, because of what he did at the FCS level. Granted, it's completely different than the FBS, especially where Temple was in the past few years. It's funny, too, because I was saying earlier to a couple buddies, like, in the most probably unpredictable college football season, the most predictable thing still happened, which is Temple going 3-9 for a 4th straight year, every year that I've been a student at the university. So it's just funny to think that. But we'll see if Keeler can turn these things around and get a 3-9 last year before kind of flipping things around at the FBS level. I'm sure it was an adjustment for him. And he kind of talked about that too in some of the articles I was reading up on in that CBS Sports article too. He talked about how he was switching times for practices because sometimes he would have short weeks, and you're going to have that in the American too, right? Because of the ESPN deal on Thursdays and stuff like that. So going to have to be a little bit flexible, and I think he has already adapted to doing that, right? And this is Sam Houston State we're talking about, or Sam Houston State that we're talking about, where they don't have a bunch of NIL money coming in either. So maybe he is just that good at recruiting it. And the thing is, right, when we look at Sam Houston in the state of Texas, where you have competition with SEC schools like Texas A&M, how are you going to be able to pull some of those players from their home state, which Keeler did do, and get them to come to play at your school, your smaller school, your small FBS school? Same thing for Temple, right? There is tons of football talent in the South Jersey area, obviously in the Philadelphia area, and in the PA state as well, just as a whole. How can you pull some of those recruits to come play for Temple on 10th and Diamond at Lincoln Financial Field? I think one way you go about it is you kind of go into the major cities first, and that's where you kind of allocate your money. I think you should try and allocate your money towards the bigger cities, right? Where there's going to be a lot better talent, like in Philadelphia, like in Pittsburgh, where maybe you can pull a recruit that's looking at a Pittsburgh or a Penn State, pull them because pay them more, right? You pay them more, they're going to come here. That no question about it. And then you can kind of come to the guys at the smaller schools or from the smaller areas, like smaller high school in South Jersey, where a guy is not really getting too good of looks. And you can say, hey, look, we got this kid coming in from Pitt or from the Pitt area. He was getting looked at Pitt and Penn State and stuff like that. Come back up from, come play like to the side of him, with him. If he was a receiver or whatnot, like details are going to be different for every scenario. But if you're going to have some of these really good players coming in, and then you can have the ones that are just below them, I think that would be the way to kind of go about this. But Temple definitely going to have to allocate their money wisely. And it's something that really no one that is sitting in this place at this university has done, maybe outside of now Keeler. Because we look at what he did at Sam Houston, and with really maybe like schools in the Conference USA, they're probably giving out like tens of millions of dollars. I think Sam Houston State was giving out tens of thousands of dollars. So it's really apples and oranges. It's a clear difference what Keeler was dealing with at Sam Houston State than it was compared to the other schools at the conference. And it's going to be same place or same spot at Temple, at least for now, unless something changes, which, I mean, it remains to be determined. But overall, love the hire. I'm not going to like go head over heels because I hate how people do that with new head coaches because you never know how they're going to pan out to be, right? I remember when Stan Drayton was hired, everyone was kind of head over heels. This is the guy. Look at all the running backs he's produced coming from Texas. But I will say Keeler is definitely more of a breath of fresh air, right? This is a guy that does have coaching experience. Stan Drayton didn't even have a coordinating experience. He was only a running back coach. So Arthur Johnson goes and gets a guy that has head coaching experience at the D1 level. So I think that's going to be huge for Temple and their future ahead of them. That's going to be all for this week's episode of Bantering with Bandel. We'll kind of talk some Temple hoops on the next episode. Thank you everyone for watching and tuning in. I'm Hayden Bandel, and I will see you guys next week.